The New York Jets lose in London 23-17 to the Minnesota Vikings. They fall to 2-3 on the season. This is the Gangs All Here post-game live show. I am the host and producer of the show, Ryan Sampson. That's my guy, Frankie Vitoriti. We do this every single week after every single Jets game. A tough loss for the Jets, an ugly loss for the Jets. Before I get to anything about this game, I'll start off by introducing and saying, Frankie, how you doing, man?
Ryan, I am doing terribly. This loss is another loss to a team that you could have beat. I can't take watching this stuff anymore. What's this preparation that this coaching staff's been doing? Are they preparing? Is Nate Hackett and Rodgers, are they putting anything together? What is it, a slant? Or are you going to throw a back shoulder all game or HB dives? Is that your game plan going into a big, big game? Why are they throwing away W's? Why? You could have won last week. You could have won this week. It's a tough league. What are you playing for, a wild card? This team was supposed to win 11 games. I'm pissed off. I had a rough weekend anyway. I told you personally I was going through a few little things going on in my personal. Nothing bad. But I've been stressed.
Frankie, it was
now. I can't take this anymore. Teams got to figure out what they want to do from a staff perspective. From a staffing perspective, who is going to run this team? What does this team need to do well to win football games? It's ridiculous.
It was ugly. The Jets ultimately had a chance at the end of the game. Rodgers and the offense get the ball with a little over 3 minutes left after Minnesota mind-bogglingly throws the ball on third down, stops the clock, gives the Jets a little bit of three minutes, 11 seconds left on the clock, down by 6 with 2 timeouts instead of having to run the ball and burning another timeout for the Jets. But credit to Brian Flores and his defense. They owned the Jets offense today. There was no easy gains for the Jets. And in the end, Rodgers throws his 3rd interception of the game. This is Rodgers' 6th career game with 3 interceptions. His last being in November 6th in 2022 against the Lions. Today, I thought Rodgers had easily his worst game of his career with the Jets in his, first 5 games, or if you want to count that one game against the Bills. But this was easily his worst game as a New York Jet as a quarterback. We'll start off early, Frank. The Jets came out sluggish. They came out looking unprepared again. Rodgers didn't look great. I thought on the first series, the Jets, they decide first down run, like usual. Second down play action. Rodgers has Breece Hall underneath, doesn't hit him, tries to throw it to Garrett Wilson on the post corner, and airmails it into the sideline. And then third down, he throws a slant route to Garrett Wilson, short of the sticks, 3-and-out punt you go. Then you have the interception. Then it gets uglier from there. The Vikings gift wrapped you a fumble, right? After Chandler throws it off his face mask from Sam Darnold, right?
God.
Quincy Williams somehow gets pushed down by Sam Darnold, and Quincy Williams falls down. Should have been a return fumble 6, honestly, if we're criticizing this team. And then, Rodgers throws another interception. Jets don't capitalize on those mistakes and opportunities. The Vikings go down and finally score a touchdown after multiple defensive penalties. Frank, I don't know where do you want to start here? Is it the offense? Should we start there about how bad it was again today? And I thought the overall play calling, the play from Rodgers as well, just was ugly all around.
Ryan, they came out this game and they had a punt, a pick 6, an interception, downs, and a punt. That's how they came out this week in a big game. This is not the type of game that you just want to figure things out or you want to do some vanilla sort of offense like we've been seeing. You have to do something different. You have to be creative. I don't know what Nate Hackett and Robert Saleh are doing in those meetings, but it doesn't seem like there's anything really interesting going on there. Right now, this team offensively needs to figure out what their identity is. Aaron's older. Can we all agree with that notion? Aaron is 40 years old. He's not the young Aaron anymore. Nate's system and his worked 5 to 10 years ago. Things are changing right now. They have to figure out what they can do offensively to get some spark. The fact that we were even in this game late is just a testament to our defense.
The defense.
And I feel bad for Jeff Ulbrich having to deal with these offenses on a year in and year out basis. Every week, this offense does this defense no favors. None. Darnold did nothing in the second half, Rye. Nothing. I will say you did call it again that we were going to lose.
It was building up to be a loss, Frankie. I mean, you could tell just from the start itself. It was again, this team looked unprepared. The offense was so predictable. You know, the Jets decided to go for it on 3rd and short, 4th and short in the second quarter, right? When you finally have momentum and you finally cross the 50-yard line. And what do they do on 4th and 2? Shotgun handoff to Braylon Allen. It's the most predictable offense I've ever seen. I think you tweeted something earlier in the game when you said this offense looks old. It is old.
Yeah,
it's old. It's outdated. There's no motion. There's nothing creative about this offense whatsoever. And the fact that this team cannot run the damn ball with Breece Hall and Braylon Allen is a huge indictment on Robert Saleh and Nathaniel Hackett not being able to scheme up an offensive game plan that can actually attack a defense. I understand the Vikings have been stronger against the run this year. They've been weak against the pass. But the Jets' game plan was not good. It was not good. They could not establish the run at all.
9 carries, 23 yards, 3 receptions for 14 yards. Breece Hall, that's what he gave you today. And I don't even blame him today. I don't blame him. He had nothing out there. There was no openings on that offensive line, which is, can we say, a little overrated? Is it time that we have that conversation? This O-line's not really all that.
I think they miss Morgan Moses, and I think Fashanu looks a little overwhelmed at right tackle, a position that he's not played in his career. I think he's playing out of position. I think AVT is trying to help him, and he doesn't look good. AVT had a lot of pressures on him as a right guard, giving up a lot of pressures against Aaron Rodgers. But I got to give credit to Brian Flores too. He dialed up some unique pressures against this Jets defense. But you saw these blitzes coming from last week. I mean, I know it's a different defense and it's a different style, but they did a lot of the walk-up blitzes, loaded in the line of scrimmage, and Rodgers looked confused a couple times. Let's
a couple times. He looked confused the whole game, right?
I know. So
Rodgers never goes to his just outlet third option back or tight end that fast. I mean, Rodgers didn't even have faith in waiting for routes to progress.
Never threw the hot. He never threw the hot.
And when he did, it was wrongly timed.
Correct.
So when he did, he would do it on 3rd and 10. He would throw a hot to Breece. It's like, dude, you have to get that first down.
I think he was rattled at that point. He was. Kurt Warner pointed out, I think it was the play. And this was a chance again. The Jets get the punt. They get pinned down inside their own 5 late in the 4th quarter. Rodgers on 2nd and 10 were drawing up a play action pass, which again is mind-boggling why Nathaniel Hackett is doing and calling a play action pass. Your quarterback's already limping and you're turning his back to the defense when you couldn't even establish the run. You understand what I'm saying, Frankie? Play action goes off the run. And if you've done nothing all game to run the ball,
it's not going to do anything.
You're not faking anyone out. The defense is going to play back and wait for you to make this long developing play. I'm going to throw some creative blitzes against you guys, and I'll get pressures on your 40-year-old quarterback who can't scramble for a lick because he's dealing with a knee injury. There's no critical thinking here from this offense and this offensive staff. My problem is that, and this is what started out the game. You start out punt, you get the fumble return that should have been a touchdown from Quincy Williams, and then Rodgers throws that 3rd down, 3rd and 6. They line up everyone on the line of scrimmage, and Van Ginkel fakes the blitz, drops back,
nice play,
and Rodgers just boop right into his chest. Didn't even see him there. See him.
Can I give you a stat today? This stat is mind-boggling. This is one of the most mind-boggling stats I've ever seen. How many targets did Garrett Wilson have today?
It had to be over like 15 targets today, right?
Good. I would have guessed the same. 22 targets.
Wow.
I don't know the last time I've seen a receiver get 22 targets. I don't know. I don't remember over 20. I think Kupp did maybe a few years ago. 22 targets is insane for 101 yards. I love Garrett, but you can't target your number one receiver 22 times and only output 101 yards in passing offense. That's not efficient. Allen Lazard, 10 targets for 34 yards.
4 drops from Allen Lazard today, including a touchdown, which you probably would have won the game. If Lazard doesn't drop that touchdown in the third quarter, or is it third quarter or second quarter? Let me double check here because I'm going to make sure I get this right.
I think it was the third.
Third quarter, right? They settle for the field goal. Is that what happened?
Yep, I think so.
Yep, Rodgers incomplete pass to Lazard. He throws it literally to him in the end zone, and he drops the ball. The Jets are from the 14. That would have made it 17. They would have made it 17-14 at that point in the third quarter. Lazard had 4 drops, including the final drive. The first play, Rodgers has a nice hole shot on the right sideline, one-on-one coverage, throws it perfectly in the breadbasket for Lazard. What does he do? Drop. 4 drops, and they were brutal, killer drops.
How do you throw the ball 54 times in a game, but then in the most crucial moments of the game, you think you're going to line up Braylon Allen there on a 3rd and 3, then it gets to 4th and 2, and you give him the ball again? What are you thinking there? Like, what? I don't understand. Like, it doesn't make it. The numbers don't make sense. The efficiency doesn't make sense. The usage, nothing makes sense on this team. I don't know what this team is, honestly, but I do know one thing, generally speaking, on both sides of the ball. They are soft. It is a soft team. That's how I describe these Jets right now. There's no one out there that puts fear in anyone's eyes. Aaron's too old to do that at this point. Garrett's not scaring any secondaries. Allen Lazard, you saw him today, 4 drops like you're saying. Mike Williams wasn't involved at all.
Which didn't make sense to me.
Can't read anything at the line of scrimmage, and the line of scrimmage isn't giving him any favors either with our offensive line run blocking. Braylon wasn't used at all today to 5 carries. Defensively, they're very good.
We'll get to the defense, but stick to the offense. I mean, the offense.
Yeah, no one's. Who are you scared of?
I don't know,
defensive
man.
Coordinator Brian Flores came in this game and he goes, "I'll dial up whatever I need to dial up. This offense ain't doing squat."
And let them have the short passing plays. We'll give that to them. We'll make our tackles in open space. That's all that matters. When you're facing this Jets team, it's easy to diagnose right now. It's easy to diagnose. If you stop the run, it's going to make it very easy for you to stop this Jets offense if you're an opposing defense. That's all you got to do, because everything goes off that run. They try to do play action so many times in the game, and when you don't have a run game, the play action just doesn't have any opportunities to succeed. And I think Rodgers.
I don't understand though why they're not even trying to establish a run. Like, I get it. I get if it's not working early, you kind of get away from it. But listen, you can't give Braylon Allen 5 carries in a game you need to win.
Well, when you keep going 3 and out, though,
9 carries. Like, you gotta. Like, you want to establish a run, especially against a defense like that, like Minnesota, that gets that much pressure and is that good off the edge and is that aggressive and blitzes as much as they do. Establish a run and slow those guys down. Once they stop running the ball, the gates were open for that defense. Rodgers is taking sacks with unblocked defenders, Rye. He's going to get killed out there. He's not gonna finish the season if this keeps going on, dude. He almost didn't.
I know.
Come on.
You were down going into halftime, 17-7. You were lucky it was 17-7. Let's not forget Rodgers actually did have a great play to Lazard for the touchdown. Scrambles a little bit, finds him in the back of the end zone. You were lucky at 17-7 at halftime. They got lucky.
Seriously.
Very, very lucky. For me, I get frustrated watching again and again how unprepared and how slow this team comes out. It comes out of the gates every single time. What was the stat, Frankie? 1 out of 6 teams in the NFL that has not scored on the opening drive at the Jets offense.
An Aaron Rodgers led team with Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson. You can't figure out a game plan. A first drive is everything you need to know about Nate Hackett and this coaching staff. It is a pre-planned drive. You have 10 plays. You go through the plays. You have everything basically scripted out. They can't score points on the first drive. They have to make a change somewhere. Tomorrow morning, somebody in that front office or Woody Johnson needs to come down and speak with Joe or speak with whomever he speaks with. He has a bunch of advisors that have treated us terribly because they stink. It's to come down and say, can we figure out a way to spark this thing up? Can we make a change? If you have to bring Aaron in and say, hey, Nate Hackett, cool, bro, nice story. I know the history. He's got to get out of here. We need something new. You can salvage the season maybe if you bring in a new system right now, and maybe by week 12, you can get things moving. I was at week 8, right? Week 8 or week 10. I'm done with that. This team, I couldn't believe the game plan today. I couldn't believe it.
After such a brutal loss against the Broncos, too.
I haven't seen anything creative in weeks. The last thing I saw creative was that Braylon Allen play that we always speak about, that little slip out with double halfbacks. Like, that was it.
They started the game again. All they were doing was going Breece and Garrett. And we're starting to see, and I know I'm being hard on these guys, but I am being hard on them because I expect greatness from these two, because they've been praised their entire first 2 years of their career playing with the worst quarterback play in the NFL. Now that you have Rodgers, it's like, okay, I expect you to elevate the play, and I expect the quarterback to elevate your play as well. Breece and Garrett weren't making plays in the first half. They were nothing.
They were.
And that's where I was telling you, and I was saying, it's time to get Braylon Allen involved early in the game plan. It's time to get Mike Williams involved early in the game plan. It's time to get Tyler Conklin involved early in the game plan. If you're going to be predictable and try to run the ball right up the middle with Breece Hall, a guy that's good in space, not in between the tackles, it's going to be tough sledding for your offense. If you're going to decide to throw slant routes on 3rd and 10 to Garrett Wilson, defenses are going to know and be prepared for those type of plays. It's just a very predictable offense. And I think there needs to be a changing of mindset. How do we get more hands involved in this offense? Rodgers cannot do it all himself. This offensive line is not prepared for him to be doing it all by himself. Him throwing it 54 times a game is unacceptable. You can't do that. You're never going to win football games, Aaron Rodgers throwing 54 passes. I'm sorry. He is not 30 years old. He's 40. He's 40. And you're getting him killed. You see it it's 2 weeks now. He's been getting mauled by defensive linemen and blitzing players. You got to be smarter.
I love how I just put up scoreboards for games today. It just popped up. Baltimore scored. The Colts scored with Joe Flacco starting at quarterback. The Colts scored. Miami even got a field goal. For us to score, Flacco 7-7 for 75 yards and a touchdown already. For us, we've scored 1 touchdown in 2 games? How many times? Wait, we scored
2 touchdowns today.
2 touchdowns in 2 games.
Correct.
1 touchdown per game we're averaging.
We're back to Zach Wilson-like offense right now. And it goes on the quarterback. It's on the quarterback. Rodgers, again, I know I see a lot of comments here where the pointing fingers at Rodgers. Here you go. Listen, Vivica, how about pointing the fingers at Rodgers? 3 interceptions, bad play, looking old and rusty. He brought Hackett and the L. Stonehand Lazard with him. No doubt.
That's 100% true.
I look forward to Rodgers having accountability in the postgame because that game was on him today. He had opportunity. Believe it or not, the Jets had, again, a chance to go down and win the game. They drove down the field at the end. Rodgers throws another bad interception. I know he was trying to get a play with Mike Williams, but at the end of the day, he threw it short of Mike Williams. You got to give it up to him. Get the ball up in the air. You have a big-name wide receiver who is one of the best 50-50 ball catchers. You threw it low. It got picked off. Rodgers looked bad. He missed guys going wide open. Kurt Warner pointed it out multiple times. I heard it, and I can't wait to watch the film tomorrow on it. It sounds like Rodgers did not have another good day. He wasn't seeing the field. But that's Brian Flores, and that's where I give credit to the Vikings defense again. Don't forget, this is a 5-0 team right now. This could be the best team in the NFL right now. We don't know it, but it doesn't look like it to me, in my opinion. But that defense is legit. They are legit. Do not be fooled. Flores is one of the best defensive coordinators in the NFL right now. And the way he has his defense playing, it's humming. But I was severely disappointed in how Rodgers and the offense responded to the blitzes, to when the run was getting stopped, and when they kept trying to do the same old song and dance with play action and slants to Garrett Wilson.
It's a 1998 style offense. That's what they're playing. And to someone's comment, why'd I bring up Joe Flacco? Joe Flacco's better than Aaron Rodgers. No, he's not. Joe Flacco's not better than Aaron Rodgers. Never was, never will be. And if we had Joe Flacco, let's just say hypothetically, he's not going 7-7 for 75 yards and a touchdown in the first quarter. Trust me. Why I brought that up is because our system is outdated offensively. That's why I brought up Flacco hasn't played, is in Indianapolis, and is able to score touchdowns. He did it with the Browns last year. Any quarterback we bring in here cannot score touchdowns. I don't know why. I don't know if they didn't even play in MetLife. I don't know what it is. You could bring in Patrick Mahomes here tomorrow. You can bring in Patrick Mahomes. You can bring in Tom Brady, prime Tom Brady. You could bring in prime Peyton Manning. You will not be scoring enough points. I don't know what it is. I don't know who to blame anymore. I don't know if it's the owner. I don't know if it's the vibe. I don't know if it's the name of the What is it?
It's the players, man. It's the players and the coaches. I think we've overrated this team. I'm going to say it. We're overrated this team. Overrated the talent. And that's what I was trying to say with Garrett and Brees. I think they're overrated.
Both of them?
Both of them. I think Garrett Wilson, 22 targets is great today. 13 receptions, 101 yards, 1 touchdown. The guy's a 1A. He's not a 1A. He's a 1B. He's a 1B.
You might be right.
And Brees Hall, I'm sorry to say, he's a home run hitter. That's what he is. He reminds me a lot like Chris Johnson. He's trying to find that hole, and he's going to take it for the touchdown. But guess what? This offensive line ain't opening holes for you, man. The defense
How do you target Garrett, by the way? How do you target him 22 times, right? And his long was 16 yards.
That's the offense they're dialing up because they cannot develop any long shot plays. The Jets never took a shot down the field. The only play that they had down the field that was success was the Lazard touchdown.
Yes.
That was the only one. And guess what? That was a broken play. That was your quarterback scrambling. It's not an offense that scares you deep, right? Like, and that's why the Vikings played a lot of cover 2. Like, we're gonna play back and let you throw everything underneath, and we'll just make our tackles. That's how it is. That's how opponents are going to defend.
What is the solution? What solution? All right, we've pointed everything out. We've been super critical and negative. I've been very negative. You're cool today. I feel like last week you were a little bit more high.
Yeah,
I'm
not angry today.
You're not surprised. You're like,
no,
okay.
The Vikings are a better football team than us. But at the end of the day, I have a lot of concerns about this offense, just like I did last week, man. It looks slow, it looks old, and it looks unimaginative.
How do we fix it?
How do you fix it? More 2 running back sets. I know that sounds crazy. 2 running back sets.
Doesn't sound crazy to me.
You got Braylon in the backfield. I'd line up Brees split with Aaron Rodgers or chipping running and just put him in the flat. Put him in the middle. Give him checkdowns. Let Brees get the ball in his hand in space. I can't have him running the ball anymore. And I need Braylon to pound the rock when I need him to pound the rock. But I need to stop doing dumb plays with 4th and 2 shotgun handoffs. Are you effing kidding me? Are we back in what, 1985?
Yeah, that's your least favorite play.
Handoffs?
You hate that. It's so funny.
You get 0 momentum. 0. If I'm the quarterback and I'm handing the ball off right next to the guy who's standing right next to me, he has 0 momentum going forward. It's so predictable. And I think Rodgers is getting frustrated at Hackett because you saw him jawing at him back and forth and doing this. Get the play call in. Enough. It's sad, man. It's just, and that's on Rodgers. We're going to be critical of, you want to be critical of the front office. You want to be critical of the coaching staff. You want to be critical of the owner. Start pointing at number 8 now, because today the heat's getting turned up on him now. This is 2 ugly losses on you, on the offense. We can call Hackett out for the dumb play calls all we want. At the end of the day, you threw 3 interceptions today. Your receiver that you wanted, Alan Lazard, had 4 effing drops today. That was bad. Bad drops. You threw some dimes to him, and you threw some dimes to other guys, but they were dropped. And that's your guy that you asked the Jets to bring in and give a 4-year deal to, in Alan Lazard.
Yeah, that's on him. I was saying the same thing. You went out of your way to bring in Alan Lazard. You brought in Randall Cobb. You came here because Nate Hackett was here.
No, he brought Nate Hackett here. Don't let him fool you. He brought Nate Hackett was brought in here for Rodgers.
Tomato. Agreed. That's on you, Aaron. And that's where, when this whole thing was sort of piecing itself together, that was the one thing I was worried about. Is Aaron so confident in himself that he thinks bringing in Cobb, bringing in Lazard, bringing in Hackett, is that really going to work? Why don't you bring the asset at the quarterback that is very good and then build better assets around him instead of doing what's comfortable for him? That's a conversation that needed to be had. They gave the keys to Aaron and said, bring in what you know, do what you've been doing. But again, if we're going to go back in time a little bit, Aaron, they say, Rye, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Aaron left Green Bay because LaFleur wanted to do some new things. Aaron didn't want to, and he left. And now we're doing what the old dog wants to do. This team needs to do some new tricks. Okay? They need to do some new things, some things that actually confuse defenses so it's not so damn hard to move the football. It is impossible for us to move the football. It's pulling teeth.
Yeah, it is.
It's crazy. Like, nothing's easy. We had one easy touchdown I can remember this year, the Breece Hall streak play. But that wasn't even easy. That was a great play by Breece. Has anything been easy with these weapons? You know, it's like slow and steady, these stupid slants all the time, these comeback routes. It's a streak back shoulder or it's these slants, and that's it. Conklin actually played pretty well. I think they should start.
Had a great day.
They need to start including him more in their plans. If these receivers aren't good, which I don't think they're that good, I think we have a receiver problem if we're really getting into it. Start using Conklin more.
I hear you. I agree with the Conklin thing. I think Mike Williams is good. I just don't know why he got him involved last game, but he didn't get him involved today. Mike Williams wasn't. I feel like he wasn't targeted until the fourth quarter today.
Yeah, I didn't even see him until late. The problem with Mike Williams is his speed and his ability to get open in space. He's still getting over that injury. He was never really that underneath across the middle guy. So he's always going to be that like streak back shoulder person. How many times? I mean, use him more though. I agree.
Why aren't you taking shots down the field with him one-on-one? Because that's what the Vikings did. I guarantee you, go back, watch the film. They left Mike Williams one-on-one with the corners, and Rodgers just wasn't even looking his way. I just think there's a lot to unpack here. Like, Rodgers is going to come out. He's going to say, yeah, I'm nicked up. We'll see about the knee. We'll see how that we'll hear about it because he's banged up. Don't let him fool you. Like, next Monday night against the Bills, it's going to be tough sledding for him. It's going to be very hard to play with a banged up knee against that Bills defense because they're going to be coming after you as well. I want to know what's going on though with this offense. I want to know why you can't develop long shot plays. I want to know why the run game is not working. I want to know why it takes so long to get Braylon Allen and Tyler Conklin involved early in the game plan, you know? And I don't want to see Robert Saleh. So again, Robert Saleh.
I know what it is. I have an answer for you. It's Nate Hackett and Robert Saleh. That's why. That's all you need to know.
Well, I think the quarterback has a lot to say in this. Let's not forget that.
Yeah. Maybe he does more than we're alluding to. We're always blaming the coaches. It seems like whenever we're speaking about this, maybe the quarterback system's old too. It's just an outdated system. I mean, Rodgers the last couple years in Green Bay, it wasn't like he was lighting things up. He doesn't turn the ball over. He's very efficient, but it wasn't like the yardage was there. How many games now has Rodgers not thrown for 300 yards? Now I think it's at like 26 at this point, games that he's started. So maybe Rodgers' system's a little outdated. That's why when we got Rodgers, I was okay with flirting with another OC or someone that can come in and take what Rodgers does well and build something creative. No, we're running an offense that he's used to running with Nate that to me is just, it's outdated. Yeah. It just, you see it. Watch other games. I mean, if you put on 20 out of 32 teams, I mean, like, they're running more things. And it's just, we have too much talent to be this vanilla on offense.
Couldn't agree more, Frankie. Could not agree more. The Jets lose 23-17. I want to thank all the fans again for watching the Gangzone here post-game live show. I'm Ryan Sampson. That's Frankie Vittorini. We were talking about this Jets offense, how much it struggled today. Aaron Rodgers looking very ugly today. This was by far his worst Jets game that he's played. 3 interceptions today. He did throw for 240 yards, threw 54 times. Garrett Wilson, 13 receptions. Mike Williams not targeted much. Allen Lazard, 4 drops. Breece Hall, another ugly game, not really doing much. He had one decent run in the fourth quarter, but that was when they were playing shell cover defense. Ultimately, Frankie, this offense, this team's going to go where this offense goes because as we saw again today, we're going to spin it to the Jets defense now. Jets defense, I thought they balled out today. I think they played their best game by far against a very, very good offense. Mind you, Aaron Jones' injury, I think, hurt the Vikings offense a little bit. Not a little bit, a lot, actually, I would say, because they do a lot off of what Aaron Jones gives them in the run game and in the pass game. But they made Sam Darnold uncomfortable. They made Justin Jefferson frustrated. You saw him on the sidelines. Ultimately, I think this Jets defense, they look like a top 5 defense again today.
They did, man. They played very, very well. They made one mistake, or one thing they could have capitalized on was a Sauce Gardner drop pick in the end zone. You make that happen, you may win the game. So turnovers, we got one. That Quincy a scoop was great. I wish he scored on it, so it was a scoop and score. But hey, it happens. Sauce, if he holds on to that, maybe we win, or maybe the game is really tight towards the end, which it was. But it could have been even closer. Maybe we were a field goal away from tying or winning, whatever. But this defense did an awesome job. You look at Sam Darnold's numbers: 14 of 31, 179 yards, no touchdowns thrown, 1 pick, sacked 4 times. So the defense did their job, if we're calling a spade. Stopping the run today, 30 carries Minnesota had, and they only got 82 yards. That's 2.7 yards a carry. So the D showed up today.
Absolutely.
Could they have done a little more? Yeah, but how much more is his defense expected to do? Yeah, they might need to 2,000 Ravens it at this point.
No. You shouldn't have to. You shouldn't have to.
I mean, with this offense, it's probably the only way we're really going to be a contender, right? Maybe the defense is top 5, but maybe 4th or 5th or 6th. I think they have to be the best defense in the league, forcing turnovers and just wreaking havoc everywhere. With that said, Brandon Echols is just great. This kid always makes plays whenever he's around the football, or the football comes his way. He always finds Brandon. We got to figure out ways to get this kid more and more involved. He had a pick today playing for Sauce. So shout outs to Brandon Echols. I always liked him here.
Frankie, you think the Jets defense is going to be frustrated seeing this offense struggle again 2 weeks in a row? Because by all accounts, the defense did give this team 2 weeks in a row to win both games, and the Jets ultimately don't win either one of them.
100%. Absolutely, man. This is the same story we've had now for how many years? What is it, 3 years and counting? I mean, Jeff Ulbrich has that defense out there for how many minutes? I mean, it's the same story over and over again. This defense always somewhat shows up in the second half, always keeps things manageable, but this offense just can't capitalize.
So the reason I ask this is because I find this interesting, and I want to hear this from Quincy Williams after the game with Janae Coakley, talking about, he was asked about, the Jets lost in London, like what's going on? And I thought this answer was interesting, Frankie. Let's see what Quincy had to say here about the loss today.
17-0 at one point. You guys battled back to the end. What does it say about this team?
I'm gonna be honest, man. People get tired of hitting the same. Taking accountability from the top to the bottom. That's the main thing, bro. That's all I got to say for real.
All right, let's talk about the fumble recovery. What happened there?
Just lost my battle, man. I gotta get that one to the end zone, bro. When my number get called, bro, that's it.
What's the mentality of this team right now?
Like I said, people gotta start taking accountability, bro. People get tired of hitting the same thing every week.
For you, what do you need to work on?
I'm tired of saying the same thing every week. For me, I need to start working on being a leader more. That's the main thing.
All right, thanks, Quincy. I appreciate it.
Appreciate you for having me.
You guys are down 17-0 at one point.
Whoa.
I love that.
Whoa.
That was big time.
Whoa. Quincy.
Comments. Quincy never speaks like that usually either. So.
No. He just said everyone needs to start taking accountability. These fans are going to stop. He's saying fans are tired of hearing the same shit every single week. I mean.
Who used the word accountability last week?
Aaron Rodgers. And guess who's using accountability on the defense right now? The captain of the defense right now, Quincy Williams. I mean,
and what is that? And who does accountability ultimately fall upon to make sure the team has accountability?
We can speculate all day. I think I have a good feeling on who he's talking about.
Yeah, he's not talking about Jeff Ulbrich, that's for sure.
No. I think they're talking a lot about that offense, man.
They're talking a lot about that head coach too. Accountability falls on your head coach. I was thinking about this earlier in the game because somebody mentioned it in a halftime space. If players are not getting better on a year in and year out basis, and they're committing stupid penalties like Sauce, for example. Sauce has a high ceiling, kind of hit it. Only cornerback in NFL history to go first team, I think, all pro 2 years in a row to start his career. Sauce is playing the same way he's been playing for years, handsy and whatnot. Now they're starting to call it. They weren't calling it then. Robert Saleh's got to coach Sauce up to not do that. Robert Saleh's got to get Quinnen Williams to be more productive, to be more of a game wrecker. Like Robert Saleh's got to get these guys in a headspace where they're getting better on a week in and week out basis. You can't just say, oh, they're great athletes, they're great players, and then you stop, having them reach the next level. Aaron Donald talks about Sean McVay, how much Sean McVay helped him get to a point where people consider him the best defensive tackle ever. Chris Jones talks about Andy Reid in that regard. You have to do that, Robert Saleh, with Quinnen Williams. You have to do that with Sauce Gardner. You have to do that with Breece Hall. You can't make these guys think that how they've been playing early in their careers, it's good enough. It's not. It's not good enough because this team doesn't win enough games. That's why. And Robert Saleh's losing a lot more than he's winning. So he's got to think, maybe these guys are really good, but maybe I can make those players elite and great. Because I don't know if they're great. I don't know if Sauce is great anymore. I'm a huge Sauce guy. I think he's so good, so important.
It's been an ugly start for him this year.
Quinnen Williams, same thing. Breece Hall, same thing. Garrett Wilson. These guys like now are like pretty good, but like they can be great because we've seen it.
Can they be? That's what I'm saying. I feel like this team's been overrated from the start, man.
I think, though, they're not developing enough, though. There's a developmental thing going on here where I just don't see anything different from individual players on the field. Garrett looks like he did as a rookie. Quinnen looks like he did 2 years ago, or even worse. Breece looks like he did as a rookie. No one's getting better. It's just it's a common theme here.
So that's kind of where I'm going here with this, is that the Breece Garrett factor that we so counted on this year to be elite playmakers, they're not elite playmakers right now. And it just goes to credit again to the Broncos and Vikings defenses. They said, I'm not going to let Breece Hall beat me. I'm just not. I'm not going to let him score a touchdown. I'm not going to let him get a home run play. Stop the run. I'm going to force Aaron Rodgers, the 40-year-old quarterback, prove it. Prove that you can beat me with your arm. And so far, he hasn't been able to, dude. It's just plain and simple like that. I know there's so much more intricacies in the offense, and we could talk about how just it's just dysfunctional from start to finish, from the offensive line to the running backs to the wide receivers dropping balls to the quarterback making bad decisions. All of that. At the end of the day, though, the defenses are saying, "I'm stopping your run because we know the rest of your offense goes off that run, and if you can't you can't establish the run, I'm not gonna let you beat me." And they're calling you out and they're disrespecting you, if anything. So that's why I think Quincy Williams makes a great point about accountability. Accountability is, Breece Hall, you stink for the last 2 weeks. And I love that Breece Hall talked after the game, and I just wanted to bring this up too quick. Talks about the running game struggles. He says, I mean, it is what it is. At the end of the day, I just want to win. If you don't run for 100 yards, people will think you suck. That's not what we're talking about, Breece. And also, Breece Hall talks about the offensive struggles today. We just got to have better attention to detail and make our plays work. Listen, man, it's on you. It's on you just like everyone else. This
team could be really good. They can. If they discipline themselves a little more and they prepare a little better and the coaches try a few more things, get outside of the comfort zone. I think this team is a little too comfortable. I think everyone's just good at what they think they are or who they are. If you get a little uncomfortable, you can really see some success with these guys. It's the same story now with this team for the last 3 years. They need to get a little uncomfortable. They need to challenge each other. What Quincy's saying, he might need to be a better leader. Although Quincy's good in my book. I think he's awesome. Maybe CJ being, not playing affects some of the things. Maybe he feels like he should step into that role.
And he's been the leader of this defense, man. He's been our best player.
Yes. This team just needs to be a little more disciplined
and accountable
and want it a little bit more.
Yes.
I mean, listen, I was saying this team needs a bully or two. What I mean by that is you need a Bart Scott. You need a Quan Alexander, who I loved when he was here. Quincy was that early on, and then Quincy became one of the guys, so you kind of need like a secondary bully on this team. This team needs to have teams fear them on both sides of the ball, and they need to be more disciplined. If they do that, and they're a little more creative, they can win a lot of football games. They should have won last week. They could have won this week. I mean, you don't win games usually against a 4-0 team when you throw a pick six. I mean, like the odds of you winning are very low if you just take stats. And
I still can't believe the Jets had a chance there at the end to drive down the field and score a touchdown.
Because we're a better roster than Minnesota.
But we play the Jets play bad football. Like it's like when I talk with Joel. So I do the Yankee show, the Pinstripe Post, and he talks about the Yankees, right? And I get the same vibes from this Jets team. super talented team, maybe a little overrated from where we evaluate them on a talent standpoint, right? But they're still really talented players. This team is playing like it's going to out talent you. Like I got better players at the wide receiver position. I got a home run hitter in Breece Hall. I got a stud corner in Sauce Gardner. I got a great defensive tackle in Quinn Williams. These guys are all big name, great talented, all pro / Pro Bowl type players. But I have to seriously question. I don't know if they're actually being put in the right position to be successful. I don't know if the coaching is there. And it's frustrating because you watch it on a day out and week basis and be like, man, this team's got so much potential. But they just run into a wall every single week, Frank. And you're like, where the hell are we going right now? Like, Jesus, take the wheel. Where are we going with this offense right now?
I'll make a point, and I'm kind of thinking about this a little bit. In football, right, winning when there's a lot of pressure on you to win. I think the Jets are at a point now where we're always on prime time. The lights are always on us. There's people in the media that want us to lose. There's opposing fan bases that can't wait for us to lose to laugh at us. There's a lot of pressure on this team. When you're a football player playing in games like this, you got to tap into something extra. And you're seeing it from some players, Jamie Sherwood. You're seeing it from Tyler Conklin a bit. You're seeing it from Brandon Echols. Guys that have something to really prove. Quincy, too. Quincy's playing for a deal. Guys that have something to prove are sort of tapping in a bit more. DJ Reed. We need the stars on this team to tap in. We need Sauce to tap in. We need Quinnen to tap in. We need Garrett to tap in. We need Breece to tap in. If those guys tap in, then we can really start to see some electric things from this team. But until our stars play at somewhat of a 8.7 out of 10, 8.8 level, I hate using that, but I'm just like, very good level. Until they start getting there, you're not going to just depend on winning games from Jamie Sherwood, Brandon Echols, and a rookie running back in Braylon Allen, guys that have something to prove. The stars on this team have to get to the next level. Like, we will carry this thing, even if we're struggling. So that's what I'm looking for. I want to see the stars play like stars on this team, and I'm not seeing it.
No, you're not. You're not seeing it at all. Jets fall to 2-3, lose 23-17 to the Vikings. This is the Gangs All Here Postgame live show. We saw the stats too: 26% chance of making the playoffs when teams go 2-3 instead of 3-2. It's like almost.
Is that true?
Yeah, that's what they showed at the end of the game.
Oh boy,
there's almost like a 20%.
I thought it'd be a little higher than that.
No, it's like almost like a 30% chance difference of making the playoffs if you go 3-2 instead of 2-3. And mind you, fans, it does not get any easier. Jets got the Bills Monday night coming up here. And it's
another primetime game.
Another primetime game.
I can't stand these primetime games.
Again, this all comes down to how is this Jets team going to respond? But right now, looks ugly. Rodgers is talking post-game. He had a couple quotes here. Obviously, that was below my standard when Rodgers was asked about his play today. He says it's a low ankle sprain when he got pinned. He doesn't have any fears of missing time, so we'll see how he manages that. When he's asked about the positives he can take away from today's game, the most important positive to take us is if we stick together. There will be a lot of people outside the building who won't be sticking with the Jets. Now, I'm gonna push back there a little bit, and I'm gonna say right now, and I think Frankie's gonna agree with me. I am not leaving the Jets. Frankie's not leaving the Jets. We're gonna keep rooting for this team. What we're gonna do though is we're gonna hold them on. Stop that.
I might become a Vikings fan.
Stop. Shut your mouth. Shut your mouth. What we're gonna do though is we're gonna hold them in high standard. And we shouldn't have to hold them in high standard because we've gotten nothing but low standard from this Jets franchise for the last 15 freaking years, right? Like, we've not gotten high standards at all. But we as Jets fans want to establish a high standard for this franchise. And we want to watch good football. We saw it against the Patriots, but the Patriots might be one of the worst teams in football. You got to do it against the good teams too. And you got to beat the bad teams like the Broncos last week also. So this was a missed opportunity again this week against a 4-0 Vikings team. I thought your defense outplayed their Vikings offense, gave you a real opportunity to win this game, but your offense fell flat again. But hang on, Frank. I just want to say, you have played 5 games, right? You have 17 games in the regular season. You have 12 more of these opportunities to establish yourself as a good offense. Not a great offense, a good offense. So get your shit together If you're Aaron Rodgers, hack it. Learn how to develop a rushing attack here because your offense desperately needs it. Aaron Rodgers cannot be throwing 54 times a game. Garrett Wilson cannot get 22 targets a game. You could try, but it's not going to win you football games. You got to get your other guys involved. Mike Williams, Tyler Conklin. I'd stop throwing Alan Lazard, to be frank with you. Try and get Malachi Corley somehow involved in this offense. I'm tired of hearing writers and everyone say, he had a pretty bad training camp. He didn't look like he knew the route tree. It's like, okay, but you drafted him and you traded up for him. Get him involved in the game plan. Give me jet sweeps. Give me screen passes to Malachi Corley. Xavier Gibson had a nice punt return, but I'm sorry. He's not giving you anything on offense. There's got to be other answers. 2 running back sets, 2 tight end sets. Ground and pound the teams in front of you. That's the game plan right now, man. That's the way you got to go about it.
This team, the last 2 weeks, Rye, sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good.
No, I'm saying this team the last couple of weeks has been trying to come out and establish a run, and they can't, and then they abandon the run, and that just gives the defense a leg up because they know what you're doing. They know that now that you've abandoned the run, then they start sending the blitz pressures. Then you start seeing the unblocked guys just hitting your quarterback. So that's happening a lot. They have to change that. I always thought, I said week 1 against San Francisco, come out and run the ball because they're a very good defense, very well coached. Don't make things too complicated. I think now as the season's going on, I think we have to be a primary, we have to think that we're primarily going to pass the ball. I mean, like, we have to run through the pass. They got to figure out who can play in the slot. They have to get some easy, chunks of yards. They have to use Conklin more. This running game, I'm not feeling it. I'm not seeing it. This offensive line's not really doing much for these backs. You're seeing it too. Every time even Braylon gets the ball, he's always being, defenders are hanging on him, defensive linemen and whatnot. So they have to figure out right now what they're going to do offensively to sort of, get some momentum. But with that said, I was worried about this team coming into the year. I thought we're going to beat good opponents, but we can also lose to bad opponents. So when you look at win-loss, I was at 10 wins. I couldn't get to 13 because we're not going to beat bad opponents. But watch us beat some really good teams like we did last year. We beat the Eagles. This is this team. This is this coaching staff. Talent's there. If the game plan isn't that much in their favor, then we can overcome and win with talent. It almost doesn't matter who this team plays. Do you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter if we play Minnesota, even though Minnesota's a good team. I'm not saying they're not, but
yeah, I mean, losing against the NFC team means nothing to me. It was the AFC loss last week against the Broncos. That's going to kill you in the playoffs positioning right now. It's a weird NFL right now. Teams are trying to figure themselves out. I still think we're at if this sounds crazy, Frankie, tell me, but the Jets didn't play anyone in the preseason, right? And I think preseason means more than what teams are willing to say. They just they want to avoid the injury factor, but you could tell this Jets offense doesn't have enough reps. It does not have enough reps establishing itself. It's still trying to find its footing, which is sad to say, and we're going to be going in week 6. I think we're at week 1 right now with this offense, if that makes sense. The first 4 weeks were the preseason. This is week 1 that we just watched this Jets offense. Now it's about how you adjust. Again, we say this every single week. It's about how you adjust. What are you going to do to draw better plays and schemes? And just keep letting your defense ball out. I think there's some negatives there too for the defense. I thought there were times where Sam had plenty of time to throw the ball. You got to get more pressure on him. But Will McDonald still had a great game. Michael Clemens played better today. I thought Quinnen was okay, better than he was in the previous weeks. Quincy was flying. I think Brandon Echols had an incredible game considering Sauce Gardner went down with an injury. But at the end of the day, though, this offense, it's about the offense, Frankie. That's all I got, man. The offense just struggled today. They looked, again, unprepared to start the game. They had to abandon the run and then try to throw the ball 54 times for a win with Rodgers.
Yeah, man. I mean, listen, you're right. You're being a lot more level-headed today than I am. This, to me, was the litmus test for this team early on. And you're looking now, 5 weeks in, we beat the Titans and the Patriots. I mean, you got to do better than that. If we're talking about Super Bowl aspirations and we're in this short window and we have Aaron for maybe a year or two,
I would say
he might not be here. Yeah, he might not even be here
year.
next year. You got to do whatever you can to try to put your team in the playoffs. Games like today A game like last week are ones that you have to win one out of those two. You could have won both of them,
Yep.
honestly. However, you didn't. Now, what do? Why didn't you win? As you're saying, it's on the offense. What do you do to change the offense? I don't know. I think we're going to start seeing the same thing. Is Davante Adams?
That was going to be my final thing with you, Frank. Is that the thing that's really going to be the cure-all for this offense? I don't know, man. That's a lot of pressure on a receiver to change this entire complexion of this offense. Now you're going to tell me Davante Adams, a soon-to-be 31-year-old wide receiver, is going to be the explosive playmaker that's going to change everything?
The only reason why you might get some real good value if you bring Davante in is due to his relationship with Hackett. And Davante Adams is probably the
Hackett's
only
been working out well for us.
Yeah, but I mean, if there's one player that Hackett knows and Davante knows, Davante likes to get targeted 22 times like Garrett Wilson did today.
I hear you.
You bring Davante in, giving him 12 targets and Garrett 12 and whatever. Maybe that's the way to move the needle.
All right,
we're not moving the chains.
Can I give the realist take here about something right now? Because I've been thinking about this Davante Adams. I want the move to happen. I think it's going to happen. And this is the one right now. Hot take, not even hot take. Yes or no? Is it Davante Adams playing for the Jets versus the Bills Monday night?
No, but he will be playing the next week.
Okay. Davante
Adams will be playing against the Steelers Sunday Night Football.
God. The realistic person in me, from what I've seen these first 5 weeks, the teams, if you get Davante Adams in this offense, teams are still going to dare Aaron Rodgers to beat them. They ain't going to let Breece Hall beat them. They're just going to stop the run. And they're going to tell you, go ahead, throw the 31-year-old receiver. Go ahead, throw to Garrett Wilson 22 times. Go ahead, throw to Allen Lazard. Let him drop the ball every single time. We ain't losing the game that way. I'm just going to keep going after your 40-year-old slow quarterback who's banged up pretty bad. Had a knee injury last week, and now he's an ankle injury.
How concerned are you with Aaron?
Pretty concerned right now after today. I wouldn't say fully concerned, but pretty concerned. It's on him.
We'll do our little
on a scale of 1 to 10.
There we go.
I'd say a 7.2.
Wow.
Concerned.
Okay.
If I were full blown concerned, I would say like an 8 or 9.
I'm at like a 5.
I think today was on him. I think today was on him and Hackett, man.
Today was a little bit on him, but these receivers, it's not like these receivers are open. It's
listen,
not like these receivers are
I told you,
passes.
Lazard had
these
brutal drops.
Stink.
But Garrett had 22 targets, and he balled out in the second half. Here's what I'll say. Garrett sucked the first half. Second half, he turned into actual Garrett Wilson. But I need to see that consistently, guy. I can't see that just for 1 week, 1 out of 5 weeks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Listen, but you can't target a receiver 22 times. And this is on Aaron, obviously. You can't target a wide receiver 1A, which is Garrett Wilson right now in this offense. You can't target someone 22 times and end up with 101 yards. I mean, that's 7.8 yards a catch, a long of 16 yards. That's not Garrett Wilson. If you want
Frankie,
to
his average throw was like 6 yards for Lazard. His air targets were like 6 or 7 yards every throw. Nothing was over at 15 yards.
I don't know, man. I just think this offense needs to figure out. I think Hackett's running this offense similarly to how they did in Green Bay with, ironically, Aaron Jones as your Breece, with Garrett Wilson as your Davante Adams, and you're trying to run an offense like that. That's not how this offense should run. That's not. You have another running back that you can give the ball to. You have a tight end who's pretty good. You have 2 other receivers, one of which wasn't even featured until the second half in Mike Williams. They have to run a different offense. This offense, I'm telling you, dude, watch the old Packers offenses. They run their offense right now, the Jets, like the Packers were doing with Hackett.
I disagree.
What do you mean I disagree?
So it's not the same offense that they were running with the Packers. Not at all. That was Matt LaFleur's offense, not Nathaniel Hackett's offense. That's what we need to correct here.
Under Nate Hackett. I'm saying with Rodgers.
It wasn't under Nathaniel Hackett. It was under Matt LaFleur. That's what people don't understand. Matt LaFleur was calling those plays. Matt LaFleur was designing the offense. Do you know that Aaron Rodgers had the most motion plays when Matt LaFleur became head coach? Before Matt LaFleur, they used the least amount of motion as an offense in percentage-wise calling plays. When Matt LaFleur came in under the Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay coaching tree, he brought motion into that offense. And Rodgers hated motion, and he still hates motion because he prefers to play up straight up. I'm going to read your defense straight up.
I'm talking
They
about
used
Hackett in
but
19.
Hackett. What in 19? That was still LaFleur.
He was the offensive coordinator though, 19, 20, and 21.
He was the
LaFleur,
in
listen,
name only. In name only, he was offensive coordinator. The only thing he was in charge of was the red zone offense. Matt LaFleur was running that offense.
and Rodgers too. Yeah, you have a point. I mean,
People don't
Yeah.
get it, and I'm gonna be frank with them. We're not getting Aaron Rodgers with Mike McCarthy MVP type play, and we ain't getting Matt LaFleur style offense either because we don't have Matt LaFleur. Like, you want to hear something crazy? If you had kept his brother Mike LaFleur here with Rodgers, you'd have a better offense right now. You'd have
You're
a
probably
better
right.
offense.
I agree with you 100%.
You'd have motion. You'd have creativity. You'd actually have you know what I mean? You'd have actually good offense.
Yeah, we don't have anything right now, man. I don't know.
Aaron hates motion. Yes, Kyle, I agree.
Yeah. And LaFleur, you are partly right. LaFleur did come in 2019 when Hackett was the offensive coordinator. So you are right there. But why then did Aaron Rodgers want to play with Nate Hackett as his offensive coordinator?
You want to know why?
Does he want to give it to Matt LaFleur and say, look what we could
Yes.
have done? Is that what it is when he won
Yes.
2 MVPs?
Yes.
That makes no sense to me, but you're
Aaron
kind of right.
is a creature of habit. He loved Nathaniel Hackett because Hackett kept the meetings light. He kept them entertaining because Hackett's a weird dude. And Rodgers is a weird dude.
You're right.
We want to get brutally honest here. And
Let's
I don't
go.
want to be because I like Aaron. Like I have no problem with Rodgers. I think Rodgers is probably the most talented quarterback I've ever seen spin a friggin' football. But at the end of the day, though, he's a weird dude. And he loves Hackett because he's a weird dude. But at the end of the day, when it comes to football 101 and schemes, Hackett's old and he's a moron. Matt LaFleur is smart, young, and probably one of the best coaches in the NFL. And when Rodgers won both back-to-back MVPs, guess whose head coach was? Matt LaFleur. And guess who's calling the plays? Matt LaFleur. And guess who's using motion? Matt LaFleur. Like, Davante Adams is not coming here to fix this. I'm telling you right now, he is not coming to fix this offense. What it's going to do is replace Mike Williams with Davante Adams. That's a huge upgrade. No doubt about it. But do not expect this offense to go from to, oh my God, they're incredible. I'm just telling you right now.
I like that call.
Reset
Good
your
one.
expectations, Jets fans. This is week 1. They have 12 more of these opportunities. That's what we call them. 12 more of these opportunities to fix what is wrong. We'll see what happens.
Do you have any solutions in the short term?
Yeah, 2 running back sets, 2 tight end sets. Pound the rock. Like my buddy Rex Ryan says, pound the effing rock because you make second and long, second and short, third and short. Makes it easier conversions for you.
Can I ask you if a coaching change at the OC or head coaching level is so crazy at this point? If you're really trying to win a Super Bowl, I hate hypothesizing on this stuff. Oh, what if this? If we do this, then this will happen. But I actually believe that if we change the head coach or the OC, we'll be a better team. And I don't know how you can prove otherwise, but maybe I'm out of my head and I'm just thinking in thin air here. But I think if you change one of them to, preferably both, but we won't get there because that's unrealistic. I think the team runs better. I think Ulbricht's done enough where if
You'd have better starts, that's for sure.
promote Ulbricht, get this team a little bit hyped up. Make this team rely on the defense, which we do anyway. Make it a defensive focused team. We're behind Ulbricht. This is our new guy. I'm just saying, if we don't win a Super Bowl ride this year, and we don't win one maybe next year, this team's going to have to figure out the quarterback. Then you start rebuilding again. Not to get so negative. I know we've been super negative. Some of the fans are saying, I'm not happy losing 2 games that we should have won both. And we definitely had to win 1 of 2. Yep. I'm not happy about that. I'm not happy going and losing to our old quarterback in Sam Darnold. I don't like seeing that. I don't like seeing an offense that has 2 touchdowns in 2 games. Come on. This is not what we were sold. This is not what we thought coming into the season. People have to be held accountable. Like Quincy said, like Rodgers said last week. Do something then. If the person that's supposed to hold people accountable is not holding anyone accountable, then it has to go higher up and hold the leader that's not holding people accountable.
We'll see. We'll see. I don't have any more. I'm just
I'm
team
tired.
frustrates me. They got a long week now to go home and prepare for the Bills. Bills are, by the way, getting blown out 14-3 against the Texans. So,
you're in a much better mood today than you were. I was
because
calm
I didn't
last
expect.
week.
I wanted to win. I didn't expect a win. I mean, I did expect a win, but like once the game started ugly again, I go, okay, this is what this team is. They're just overrated and they're not good. They're just not a good football team. I gotta see Aaron Rodgers somehow play better football. Good luck.
To give credit to Minnesota, listen, they did what they needed to do to win the game. So kind of getting onto them. Darnold didn't have a great game, but it was good enough. So I always say that sometimes you just have a good enough game. He hit some spots late. Had a really nice throw to the tight end late too in that game. So Darnold and them did enough to win the game with their starting running back not playing in the second half, and Aaron Jones. So you got to give them credit too where credit's due. Minnesota goes to 5-0 on the year. They're the only undefeated team in football, so you got to give them some credit. So shout outs to them for winning a game that got close towards the end, and they made just the right amount of plays to win.
Robert Sala's message to Jets fans after beginning the season 2-3. Quote, it's early. We are 5 games in. Obviously, we'd like to be a lot better, but it's early, and we have a long way to go. So, Salah's keeping things in perspective.
Ryan, may not be early for him. He might not have the whole season. Maybe he might have 2-3 more weeks.
I think you're creating a lot of noise that just isn't there right now. I don't think Woody's gonna pull that trigger ever. He never fires anyone in season. I don't see it happening.
I hate supporting a firing. I don't like it at any level. But the only reason I'm sort of in that mindset with this guy is because of the window we have. I am sick of us waiting for this coach or any coach, it seems like we have, to figure things out. It's like, when are we going to have a better game plan than the opposing team and clearly beat them with our talent? When?
We'll have to see. That's all I can say. We'll have to see. That's the Gang's All Here post-game live show. I'm Ryan Sampson. That's Frankie Vinariti.
Let's go. You like this?
I do. Game 2 tomorrow night.
Omar Minaya got me this. My guy.
Game 2 tomorrow night. For Frankie Vinariti from U Stadium, Ryan Sampson, the New York Post. We appreciate all you fans watching the Gang's All Here post-game live show. We're going to do it again next week after the Buffalo Bills game Monday night. Another primetime game. Another late night for Frankie and myself. But, we're here. We're here to be miserable together and break it all down. Still a long season. Only 5 games in, but it gets late early sometimes in football if you keep losing games. See how the Jets respond next Monday. Frankie, thank you, brother.
Ryan, you're the best. Shout outs to you in the post, and I'll see you next week.